Okay, in this video, I'm just going to talk about how to assess the exposure of our negatives by looking at a contact sheet. And this is specifically by looking at a contact sheet that has been exposed in the way that I teach my students, which is minimum exposure for maximum black. And I can tell that this one has been done really well that way because of the contrast that we're seeing here in the writing that's found on the film. This one has also been done pretty well when we see this good strong white with black. Some, like this one, has actually been overexposed, that negative this contact sheet has, but we'll talk about that in a minute. The first thing I want to talk about is when we're looking at a contact sheet, what we are seeing is the opposite of what our negative looks like. So the positive negative idea, the places that are dark on our negative, that are dark on our contact sheet, which is our positive, will be light on our negative and vice versa. So where a lot of light hits our negative, it turns dark, it creates lightness on our positive. And so based on that, we can find things that are over or under exposed. So when not enough light hits our negative, then that creates a very dark image on our contact sheet. This is just like when we see the preview or the live view on our digital cameras. So when we're looking at a contact sheet, we could say on this one, for example, we might be tempted to say some of these are underexposed because they're very dark, but they have some pretty good highlights. And I would say that these are actually very well exposed. These first two up here, pretty dark, pretty underexposed. So if you were my student and you were marking your contact sheet, these would be used for underexposed. Some of these maybe not so much. A couple of these would be used. I see a tree here. So these look to be really well exposed. These not so well. So kind of underexposed here. Nothing on this sheet is overexposed. Just to put that out there. So this is another interesting thing going on. Pretty much, we're pretty well exposed unless we're looking at this building here, which is way too dark. And even the sky is kind of dark. And I can tell, I think we're shooting into the sunlight. So we probably had a typical problem misreading our light meter because we had really strong backlight. And we should have read our meter off of something that was filled up with just the building. And it probably would have had us give this a little less exposure to make these tones much lighter. That being said, where we've got a lot of lens flare, a lot of light coming into the lens, then we got some overexposures. So in general, I would say these were underexposed. If I were marking for my students over or underexposed, these wouldn't be severely enough underexposed to mark them that way. But this kind of tells us when everything's really dark, we're not getting enough light into our camera to expose the film so that we can make a nice print. That's the whole point. When we're working with negatives, not very forgiving. So this contact sheet has been given a little bit too much light, actually, because we can see the difference between the lettering. So technically the contact sheet is slightly overexposed, but the film is something different. So talking about the negatives, these actually, again, have pretty nice highlights. These, and I would say these are not underexposed. This one and this one, especially because I can tell that the contact sheet was overexposed. These would be even brighter if it had been properly exposed. So these are probably overexposed, though again, not enough for me to really say my students would have to mark it. These down here where we're not seeing enough detail to really know what the heck is going on, I would say these are all underexposed. Some of these look like they didn't get exposed to anything. These are slightly overexposed. This looks really cool. Super cool. We got nice highlights. We got strong contrast. I really like that shot in general. So that kind of gives you an idea. In this roll of film, I wanted to share this with you because we have some slight underexposure, but not so much an exposure issue. This is unfortunately something I've seen a lot. This just means that the film, the back of the camera got open, the film got exposed to white light while it was still in the camera towards the end of the roll. So this part of the film was rolled up in the camera. Probably the student closed the camera really fast when they realized what they had done, but this was a result of the film getting completely exposed to light, turning completely black, and creating a very white portion. So anything that's really white like this means that the film got exposed to light, especially when we see it even on the edges here. That's a sad thing, but does happen. So that's one of the things you can tell that a contact sheet will tell you. Even if you didn't realize you did this, that's what happened. And then in this case, again, this is an overexposed contact sheet because we can't see the white writing at all, which means that these were all, even if this was well exposed, this would still be considered overexposed, because there's just been so much light on these negatives that we've kind of lost all of our detail. We might be able to print from these. It would be such a pain in the butt. And these are probably actually better exposed than they appear on this contact sheet. These are probably the most well-exposed images. This is probably underexposed no matter what. But that hopefully gives you a better idea when you are looking at your contact sheets and trying to figure out what went right, what went wrong, how exactly it went wrong, so that next time you're shooting, you can do better.